Today, we're going to explore one of the most controversial tributes in recent times, the Presidential War Medal, awarded to citizens by Joe Biden, Liz Cheney, and Benny Thompson. While some see this gesture as a recognition of courage and patriotism, others consider it a political move. Now watch the moment when Biden awards the traitor of the party and understand what's behind this, of such a controversial gesture.
Sometimes a medal is more than just a medal. Tonight, Joe Biden honored Liz Cheney at the White House. This award is both for her service and maybe to celebrate someone loathed by the president-elect.
Elizabeth L. Cheney, for putting the American people over party.
We just saw Joe Biden awarding a medal to Liz Cheney, who is considered a traitor within the Republican Party, for her criticisms of Donald Trump. And even amidst accusations of fraud and dishonesty, Biden still awarded Cheney. Now see what this controversial gesture has caused among progressives.
Congressman Donalds, I want to ask you, though, I don't know how you feel about it. I was offended that President Biden gave one of the second highest medal of honor. It's not called the Medal of Honor, but a medal honoring these two congressmen, Congressman Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is I'm highly offended, but I'm not surprised. Joe Biden and his White House have lived in the bizarro land where no other Americans really exist. That's why the presidency under Joe Biden has been an abject disaster. This is just one of the last pieces of icing on that cake. Look, everybody knows that the fake January 6th committee, the only purpose was to basically put a lot of propaganda out into the information stream to go after and attack Donald Trump. It failed, completely backfired. They suppressed information. They tampered with evidence. There's reports out there that they were actually tampering with witnesses sitting in front of that committee, something that has frankly never happened in the halls of Congress, happened with this J6 committee. So for them to be rewarded for, frankly, the lack of transparency and honesty they gave to the American people is disgusting, but why are we surprised? This is the presidency of Joe Biden, the very worst presidency in the history of our country.
Finally, a fierce and accurate criticism of Joe Biden for awarding the medal to Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson. Look at what this congressman said in the interview, blasting Joe Biden. For conservatives, this award is not just an affront, but a confirmation of what they consider to be Joe Biden's dishonesty. Now, let's explore a bit more about this controversial gesture.
You know, I think the right loves to own the libs, so it's nice to see Joe Biden sort of get engaged in the counterpart on that from a Democrat. I will say it's clear that Joe Biden genuinely believes that Liz Cheney did the right thing. Like, he genuinely believes that she put country over party and that it's worth celebrating. And while it's also pretty funny from us from the outside, nothing Joe Biden does now has any electoral impact. He's doing it because he believes it, and it's nice to see some kind of like genuine, authentic belief from him for this.
Critics suggest that this gesture from Joe Biden has no electoral motivation. For many conservatives, this gesture can be seen as skepticism or even a strategy to weaken the Republicans. The question that remains is this tribute just an act of justice, or is it actually a political maneuver? Watch and draw your own conclusions.
President Biden awarded the nation's second highest civilian honor to 20 Americans Thursday, including the leaders of the Congressional January 6th Committee. Biden bestowed the Presidential Citizens Medal to Democratic Congressman Benny Thompson and former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. The award is meant to highlight Americans who perform exemplary deeds of service to the country. Biden praised the honorees at a White House ceremony.
Together, you embody, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, the essential truth. We're a great nation. We're a great nation because we're a good people.
CBS News political reporter Zach Hudak joins us now for more. Zach, why did he want to honor Cheney and Thompson in particular? Does it have anything to do with the fact that the incoming president has, without evidence, suggested they need to be charged with crimes?
Lindsay, I think that is a factor. I think that President Biden knows that President Trump is already working to somewhat rewrite history of obviously what happened on January 6th, but of the actual investigation of it. I think it's important to keep in mind just how much Liz Cheney lost by choosing to be the ranking member on that committee, despite Republicans in Congress not wanting to have any Republicans on it in order to try to delegitimize it.
Her and Adam Kinzinger.
She was the number 3 ranking House GOP member before that happened. The next election cycle, she lost her seat. So she went from being the 3rd most powerful Republican in the House to having no job in politics. So what Biden did by doing that is he enshrines her a little bit in history. He gets to have his last word, at least before Donald Trump comes in and soils her reputation again. She will always have this medal. It's something that Donald Trump cannot take away from her or from Benny Thompson.
As you can see, Biden praises the honorees for their dedication to the country. But Zaki Rudak says there's much more behind this gesture. But is Biden's real intention to protect his Republican allies with this medal? Check out what they said about this next. You won't.
President Biden has announced 20 individuals who will receive the Presidential Citizens Medal. One notable honoree, former Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney, who became a top enemy for Trump after sitting on the January 6th House panel. Before the break, President Biden is going to award the Presidential Citizens Medal to 20 people today at the White House. Among them, Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson, 2 members of the congressional committee that investigated the January 6th attack at the Capitol. Is Biden going to be stapling pardons to those medals?
Well, maybe so. I mean, it is an interesting move to make. To my mind, it's almost like a halfway house between the full preemptive pardon and doing nothing, because it in a sense makes it more difficult to take action against those people if that's what Trump wants to do. They are now going to be recipients of the Presidential Citizens Medal, obviously an example of a president extolling their achievements in that way. So it is clearly lauding them for their work on the January the 6th committee. Obviously that is not a view that the president-elect shares whatsoever, so we'll see if he does take action.
The question that remains is this tribute more of a legitimate recognition? Or is it, in fact, a way for Biden to shield Cheney and Thompson?
President-elect Donald Trump's public enemy number 1, Liz Cheney, is now the recipient of the US's 2nd highest civilian award, the Presidential Citizens Medal. The former Wyoming Congresswoman was celebrated yesterday with a warm welcome to the White House and a standing ovation as President Biden handed her the award. Take a look.
Cheney received the award for her service in Congress and for her work on the January 6 House Committee. Other recipients included fellow January 6 committee member Representative Benny Thompson, former Senator Chris Dodd, and former Senator Ted Kaufman, among others.
Cheney's award has been less than well received by Republicans, with many accusing her of fueling partisan tensions. Senator John Barrasso on Thursday said that President Biden was, quote, either going to pardon Liz Cheney or give her an award. She doesn't deserve either. She represents partisanship and divisiveness, not Wyoming. Well, Liz Cheney, quite a divisive figure across the spectrum. I should say that I was at that ceremony in the East Room of the White House, and I tweeted my own much more amateur version of the standing ovation for Liz Cheney, and my replies were, as I would have expected, filled with people from a more left-wing perspective, highly upset about the award from a kind of anti-war perspective. Liz Cheney herself is extremely conservative, except for her work on the January 6th committee. She is often derided as a warmonger and all the rest of it. But give us the conservative view.
Yeah, sure. Well, even there's overlap there now too, with Trump Republicans on particularly funding in Ukraine and perhaps for Israel. But I mean, her work on the January 6th committee has been really picked apart by this latest investigation by Barry Loudermilk, which has pointed to some of the issues that they specifically ignored because the Republican view or the conservative view would be that Liz Cheney and the J6 committee were single-handedly or singularly focused on sort of getting Trump and not talking about the larger issues that led to January 6th happening in the first place. They were accused of hiding evidence of Trump's request for 10,000 National Guard troops at the Capitol that day. They produced this ABC primetime miniseries and hired TV producers to sort of run the hearings to make them fit for television. They were accused of destroying documents as soon as the committee wrapped. They did not apparently find out that the FBI had 26 informants in the crowd that day. And she's also been accused of witness tampering, accusing Cassidy Hutchinson of talking to her without a lawyer ahead of her making these sort of bombastic claims about Trump allegedly grabbing the wheel of the beast to take himself to the Capitol. The idea that she put sort of country over party, I think is a bit of a manipulation of the facts. I would say that she put self over party.
So we come to yet another final chapter in this intrigue between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, which is far from over. But it was clear that this tribute divides opinions. And you, what did you think? Leave your comments here. Don't forget to share your opinion. Both you and your opinion are very important to me. Also, don't forget to leave your like to support the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Thank you all very much. Until we meet once again, our next meeting.